Hey, lovely people, a pleasant afternoon to everybody. So, beautiful people, I have been so engaged with so many different things that I'm not even getting an opportunity to vlog on different, things that are happening. And I know we're in the ripe, very, very ripe stage of our, or we're at the cusp of, election day, which is the day after tomorrow, Wednesday, September 3, 2025. Boy, I can't wait for this thing to come. Lord, it's like I feel like, when you're anxious to get something, kind of a situation, and so forth, but I want people to vote responsibly and think carefully when you're voting. Please don't vote on die-heartedness. Vote on what you know or suspect, because sometimes you can think you know and you may not really know. But what based on what you have been seeing, you vote accordingly, please. We Jamaica has to go forward, never backward. That is my take on it. Never backward, always forward. So, beautiful people, the Prime Minister announced, was it last evening or today, that he is going to move the minimum wage from $16,000 overall, listen keenly now, overall to $32,000. I said overall. It doesn't mean he's going to do it in one sweep. So I think in the first, I was about to say the first trimester or semester, but in the first, let us say the government comes back in the first year or thereabout, it moves from the 16,200, because prior to that, what was it again? 6,000 something or whatever. So it got like 100% increase. So in that first year or thereabout, he's going to move it to 18,500, and then gradually, maybe over the 5 year term, it goes up to the $32,000. I heard one person said, "Don't call it minimum wage. You're going to call it something like livable wage." Where you can kind of now see your way through. Well, it depends on the situation. If the person maybe doesn't have a lot of things to deal with, the bills, and maybe not have children and all kinds of different costly things and so forth. So 16,000 to overall, not in one sweep, because I think one vlogger may have missed it. They thought that he said 16,000 because they wanted to make a comparison about the 3.5 that the People's National Party had mentioned. It made a comparison to say how they're saying that that cannot work, but yet they're doing the 16 to the 32. But he said it's over time. It's not in one sweep. All right, guys. So for those who may not understand that, I was listening to a vlog, and I'm not sure, maybe somebody can clarify. It was actually a pleasant surprise with, where the Prime Minister said, as I said, I don't know people. Please clarify for me. Where the Prime Minister is going to put aside funds for, how they would have trust funds for children, like parents would leave trust funds for children, they save towards it, and when they're 18, they can take it and do whatever basically they want with it. But this one is a little bit more bureaucratic or stringent, and I can understand why, because they don't want you to be a poor steward with it. So apparently, the Prime Minister is going to have something like a their idea of a trust fund. They put monies aside, and when the child reaches 18 years of age, then he or she will get it to start a business. If that is really true, mighty God. That speaks to solid leadership. I don't know what to say. Because he would have been embodying a biblical principle, taking the biblical principle when it says leave treasures or store up treasures for your children's children. In other words, you don't only give to your children, but make sure the grandchildren benefits, because when you go two generations, two notches up, you would have now planted that seed that is going to be very hard to die out, you know and it can become like an avalanche, like a snowball. It's like it's ubiquitous, it's everywhere, and it when I heard, I said, oh my God, I want somebody to clarify for me if if really that is true, because it really would set that foundation of taking poor people out of poverty, of strangling, suffocating, repudiating, nullifying poverty and bad stewardship, which a lot of people, many of us, have suffered gravely over many years, and yeah, I'm if that is really true, guys, that speaks to an aspect of great leadership, because it means that he is actually putting poison in poverty. He is killing the seeds, in this present day and age. So by the time we get to another 10, 15 years, we really should not see poverty in the way we're seeing it, if that is really true. And one of the foundations of eliminating poverty is people investing in the human capital. A lot of people feel that, you just work hard on your own. We're not, you'll hear people say they are self-made millionaires, billionaires, or whatever it is. Not true, I understand what they're saying, that they had to work very hard and maybe give off, themselves in a magnolious, grandiose way, ways that they never thought they would have. Not necessarily in an unseeming, in a negative way, meaning they had to work extremely hard, to get to where they're at. But they didn't realize that even if it was a mentor, the mentor would have planted a seed, or another mentor would have watered the seed. Somebody may have said, so the ideas, all of that, their culmination of them becoming millionaires or billionaires. So you're really not a self-made. No man is an island. No man is an island. No man stands alone. So somebody would have assisted you in one way or another, even if they gave you a small amount of capital. And I'm talking maybe money. Somebody would have injected some sort of aid in you becoming a millionaire. It may not have been very very much clear out there and big and bold, but somebody or people would have assisted in you becoming great, because you don't just get up and know things. When I learned to read and write, I was exposed to the basic phonics, you know, and the different parts of speech, penmanship, you know, homophones, synonyms. We can name the different aspects of language, and it was systematically taught to me so that I'm able to become who I am today. All right, so it's a combination of people investing in people in different ways. So I say all of that to say, when you see people becoming, or the so-called born in wealth, you heard what that you said, what I just said, born in wealth. Wealth was left for them to capitalize and make the wealth continue, and more than likely some of them were taught how to manage the wealth. So somebody has to invest. Somebody had to invest in the individual or in the people. They don't just become wealthy like that. You understand? So yeah. But again, the prime minister that's moving the minimum wage to call it, and I heard a vlogger calling it no longer minimum, say livable wage. All right, I see what the vlogger is saying, and I would love to know if really and truly, the prime minister plan is one of the plans is to put monies aside for the impoverished, the indigent, the poor children. Put it aside in something like a trust fund, and then when they're older, the money is used to start a business. And we're now in the era of entrepreneurship. Gone are the days when that really wasn't taught. And I'm so proud of some of the young people that I'm seeing, how they are business minded. And I like when me at pick me and them all only teach us if we get a good education and go work for somebody. These younger generation, they are very, you may think that they're just ubiquitous, meaning they're all over the place. It's just everywhere. Just keep seeing them, But they're doing their best to become the best versions of themselves, without having to just be under the umbrella of others. They want to explore who they are and to bring out the gifts and the talents. So if he's going to invest in that, that's great leadership. That's all I have to say. Guys, you know what to do. Read TikTok and YouTube. Subscribe. Give me one of those lions. Thank